Tell us in the comments which city you're listening from. Click the like button, and let's begin the story. Emma Whitmore walked out of Massachusetts General Hospital at 6:47 in the morning carrying nothing but a small blue backpack and a grief so heavy it made her bones ache. Daniel was gone, her son, her only child, 11 years old. The leukemia had taken him during the night, quietly, while she held his hand and whispered that it was okay to let go. The doctors had been kind. The nurses had cried with her. But none of it mattered now. Nothing mattered now. She walked through the streets of Boston without direction, without purpose. The city was waking up around her. People rushed to work. Street vendors opened their carts. Pigeons fought over crumbs near the park benches. Life continued, as if the world hadn't just ended. Emma found herself near Quincy Market, surrounded by the morning crowd. She sat on a bench and stared at the blue backpack in her lap. Daniel had chosen it himself 2 years ago, before the diagnosis. It had superheroes on it. He'd loved superheroes. She unzipped it slowly. Inside were the things she'd packed for his final hospital stay. A worn copy of his favorite book, The Small Stuffed Bear he'd had since he was 3. A notebook where he'd drawn pictures during his last good days. Emma closed the backpack before the tears could come again. That was when she heard the voice. "Excuse me, ma'am." She looked up. A boy stood in front of her, maybe 8 or 9 years old. He was thin, too thin, with dark hair that needed cutting and clothes that were clean but worn. His sneakers had holes near the toes. But it was his eyes that stopped her. They were Daniel's eyes. Not the same color, not the same shape, but they carried the same expression Daniel had worn so often during his illness. Fear trying to look like courage. "Ma'am," the boy said again, his voice barely above a whisper. "I know this sounds really weird, but could you maybe be my mom for a day?" Emma stared at him. The question was so unexpected, so impossibly strange, that for a moment she forgot about the backpack in her lap and the empty hospital room she just left behind. "What?" she managed to say. The boy shifted his weight from foot to foot, clearly terrified, but determined to continue. "I just need someone to be my mom for one day," he said. "Just today. I promise I won't cause any trouble. I just want to know what it feels like." Emma should have said no. She should have asked where his parents were. She should have called someone, done something responsible and adult and safe. But all she could think was that this boy, this stranger, was asking for exactly what she would give anything to have again. "One more day. What's your name?" Emma heard herself ask. "Noah," the boy replied. "Noah," Emma repeated. She looked at him carefully. He wasn't running away. He wasn't trying to rob her. He was just waiting. "Where are your parents, Noah?" Something dark passed across his face. "I don't have any," he said quietly. "They died 2 years ago." 2 years. Daniel had been diagnosed 2 years ago. "Where do you live?" Emma asked. Noah hesitated. "St. Michael's Group Home. It's about 6 blocks from here." Emma knew St. Michael's by reputation. It was one of those overwhelmed, underfunded places where orphaned and abandoned children waited for families that rarely came. "Did you run away?" she asked. Noah nodded slowly. Emma knew she should take him back immediately. She knew that keeping a child away from his legal guardians, even terrible ones, was wrong. But when she looked at Noah's face, she saw Daniel. She saw every lonely night her son had spent in hospital rooms. She saw every moment Daniel had been brave when he wanted to cry. And she made a decision that surprised even herself. "Okay," Emma said. "One day." Noah's eyes widened in disbelief. "Really, really," Emma confirmed. "But just today. And tomorrow I'm taking you back to St. Michael's myself." "Understood." "Understood," Noah said quickly. Emma stood up from the bench, still holding the blue backpack. "Are you hungry?" she asked. Noah nodded so hard his whole body moved. "Then let's get breakfast." They walked together through the morning streets, an unlikely pair. A woman in her late 30s, elegant even in her grief, and a small boy with holes in his shoes. Emma took him to a diner she and Daniel used to visit on good days. The kind of place with red vinyl booths and waitresses who called everyone Han. Noah stared at the menu as if it were written in a foreign language. "Order whatever you want," Emma said. He ordered scrambled eggs, bacon, pancakes, orange juice, and toast. When the food arrived, Emma watched him eat with the focused intensity of someone who wasn't sure when the next meal would come. He tried to be polite about it, cutting small bites and chewing carefully, but his hunger was obvious. "When did you last eat?" Emma asked gently. Noah swallowed. "Yesterday morning. Breakfast at the home." "They don't feed you dinner?" "They do," Noah said. "But I left before dinner yesterday. I've been walking around since then." "Walking around," Emma repeated, "for almost 24 hours." Noah nodded. "Why?" Emma asked. Noah put down his fork and looked at her with those two old eyes. "Because yesterday was my 9th birthday," he said. "And nobody remembered. Not the staff. Not the other kids. Nobody." He said it without self-pity, just stating a fact. "So I left," he continued. "I thought maybe if I walked around the city, I could pretend I was someone else for a while. Someone whose birthday mattered." Emma felt something crack open inside her chest. Daniel's birthday had been 3 months ago, August 14th. They'd celebrated it in the hospital with cupcakes the nurses brought and a new book Emma had ordered online. It had been Daniel's last birthday, and he'd had his mother there. This boy had no one. "Happy birthday, Noah," Emma said quietly. Noah looked up at her, surprised. "Thank you," he whispered. After breakfast, Emma did something she hadn't planned. "Come with me," she said. She took Noah to a department store downtown. She bought him new clothes. Not expensive designer things, but good, sturdy clothes that fit properly. New sneakers without holes. A warm jacket for the approaching fall. Noah kept asking if she was sure. "I'm sure," Emma said. In the fitting room, Noah changed into his new clothes. When he came out, he looked like a different child. Clean, cared for, almost normal. But Emma noticed something else. As they walked past the toy section, Noah slowed down, staring at a display of action figures with a kind of longing that made Emma's heart hurt. "Do you like superheroes?" she asked. Noah nodded. "My dad used to read me comic books before bed." Before the fire, Emma thought. Before everything changed. "Pick one," Emma said. "I can't," Noah replied. "You've already done so much." "Pick one," Emma repeated, firmer this time. "It's your birthday." Noah carefully selected a single action figure. Not the biggest or most expensive one. Just one he genuinely liked. At the register, Emma added it to her purchases without comment. As they left the store, Noah carrying a bag with his old clothes inside and wearing his new ones, he looked up at Emma and said something that nearly broke her. "This is the best birthday I've ever had." Emma stopped walking. "Noah," she said gently, "how many birthdays have you had at St. Michael's?" "2," he replied. "And before that, when your parents were alive?" Noah's face brightened slightly with memory. "Those were good," he said. "My mom made chocolate cake from scratch. My dad took me to the aquarium. We'd have a whole day together. Just like Emma and Daniel used to do." "Tell me about them," Emma said. "Your parents." They found another bench, this one overlooking the harbor, and Noah told her his story. His name was Noah Marcus Chen. His father had been an engineer. His mother had been a teacher. They'd lived in a small house in Dorchester. 2 years ago, there had been a fire. Faulty wiring, the investigators said. It started in the middle of the night. Noah's bedroom had been on the first floor, and he'd escaped through his window when the smoke alarms went off. But his parents' room had been upstairs. By the time the firefighters arrived, it was too late. Noah had watched his house burn from the front lawn, wrapped in a neighbor's blanket, waiting for his parents to come out. They never did. "I went to live with my aunt for a few months," Noah continued, his voice flat now, reciting facts. "But she said she couldn't afford to keep me. So I went to St. Michael's." "What's it like there?" Emma asked, though she suspected she knew. Noah shrugged. "It's okay, I guess. There are a lot of kids. Not enough staff. The food isn't very good. The beds are uncomfortable." He paused. "But mostly it's just lonely," he said. "Even with all those people around, it's really lonely." Emma understood that feeling. The hospital had been crowded with doctors and nurses and other patients. but she'd never felt more alone than during those final days with Daniel. "Is that why you asked me to be your mom for a day?" Emma asked. "Because you're lonely?" Noah nodded slowly. "I see family sometimes," he said, "in the park or at the mall. And the parents are just there. They hold their kids' hands. They laugh at their jokes. They remember their birthdays." He looked at Emma. "I just wanted to know what that felt like again," he said. "Even if it was just pretend. Even if it was just for one day." Emma realized she was crying. Not the desperate, drowning sobs from this morning. Just quiet tears that slipped down her face while Noah watched with concern. "Are you okay?" he asked. Emma almost laughed. Was she okay? Her son had died 6 hours ago. She'd walked out of that hospital with no idea how to keep living. And now she was sitting on a bench with a stranger's child, crying in public. "No," Emma said honestly. "I'm not okay." She took a breath. "I lost my son this morning," she said. "His name was Daniel. He was 11. He had leukemia." Noah's eyes widened. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Me too," Emma replied. They sat in silence for a while, watching boats move across the harbor. "Is that his backpack?" Noah asked, pointing to the blue bag Emma still carried. "Yes," Emma said. "Can I ask what he was like?" Emma smiled despite her tears. "He was brave," she said. "So brave. Even when he was scared or in pain, he'd try to make me feel better. He'd tell jokes that weren't funny just to make me laugh." "He sounds nice," Noah said. "He was the best person I've ever known," Emma replied. "Did he like superheroes too?" Emma nodded. "He loved them. He said they gave him something to believe in when everything felt impossible." Noah processed this quietly. "I think he would have been a good big brother," he said finally. Emma looked at him. "I think he would have been too," she agreed. As the afternoon wore on, Emma and Noah continued their strange, impossible day together. She took him to the aquarium Noah had mentioned. They watched the penguins and the sea turtles and the enormous shark tank. Noah pressed his face against the glass like a much younger child, and Emma found herself smiling for the first time since Daniel's diagnosis. They got ice cream even though it was barely past lunch. They walked through the public garden and fed the ducks. They did all the simple, ordinary things that families do. And for a few hours, they both pretended that this was real, that they belonged to each other, that tomorrow wouldn't come and tear them apart. But as the sun began to set and the city lights started to glow, reality crept back in. Emma had to take Noah back to St. Michael's. She promised. But as they walked toward the group home, something felt wrong. Noah had been quiet for the last few blocks. Not the comfortable silence they'd shared earlier. This was different. He was afraid. "Noah," Emma said, stopping on the sidewalk. "What's wrong?" He didn't answer at first. "Noah," she pressed. "Talk to me." "They're going to be so mad," he said finally. "I was gone all night and all day. They're going to punish me." "How?" Emma asked, her voice sharp. Noah looked at the ground. "Isolation room," he said quietly. "It's where they put kids who break rules. It's just a storage closet they cleared out. No windows, no light. They lock you in for however many hours you were gone." Emma felt cold. "That's over 24 hours, she said. Noah nodded. "And nobody checks on you?" Emma asked. "Nobody brings food or water?" "Sometimes," Noah said. "If they remember." Emma made a decision right there on the sidewalk. She was not taking Noah back tonight. "Come with me," she said, taking his hand. "Where are we going?" Noah asked. "Somewhere safe," Emma replied, "while I figure this out." She took him to her apartment in Back Bay. It was a beautiful space that had never felt emptier than it did now, with Daniel's room sitting silent down the hall. But tonight it would shelter another child. Emma made Noah dinner. Real food, not cafeteria meals. She let him take a hot shower. She gave him clean pajamas that had been Daniel's and tried not to cry when she saw how similar they looked in size. "You can sleep in the guest room," Emma said. "It's comfortable and safe. I promise." Noah looked around the apartment with wide eyes. "This is where you live?" he asked. "Yes," Emma said. "It's really nice," Noah said. "Daniel was lucky." "I was the lucky one," Emma replied. That night, after Noah had fallen asleep in the guest room, Emma sat alone in her kitchen and faced the truth. She couldn't take Noah back to St. Michael's. Not to isolation rooms and forgotten birthdays and loneliness that even a 9-year-old could articulate. But she also couldn't just keep him. There were laws, procedures, systems in place. Emma pulled out her phone and made a call she never thought she'd make. Law offices of Sarah Chen. A voice answered. "Sarah," Emma said. "It's Emma Whitmore. I need your help with something urgent." Sarah Chen had been Emma's lawyer during the divorce from Daniel's father years ago. She was tough, smart, and didn't ask stupid questions. Emma explained the situation as clearly as she could. When she finished, there was a long silence. "Emma," Sarah said carefully, "you understand what you're asking? I want to file for emergency custody," Emma said, "and then permanent adoption." "Of a child you met this morning," Sarah said. "Yes," Emma replied. "While you're still processing the death of your son," Sarah continued. "Yes," Emma said again. "Emma, I say this as your lawyer and your friend. This is not a rational decision." "I know," Emma said, "but it's the right one." Sarah sighed. "Tell me everything you know about this boy and St. Michael's," she said. "And I mean everything." Emma talked for over an hour. She told Sarah about Noah's story, about his parents dying in the fire, about the isolation room and the forgotten birthday, and the loneliness that permeated everything. "Give me 48 hours, Sarah said when Emma finished. "I'm going to look into St. Michael's. If even half of what you're saying is true, they have serious problems." "And if it's all true?" Emma asked. "Then we have a case," Sarah replied. "But Emma, you need to understand something. Even if St. Michael's is terrible, that doesn't automatically mean you'll get custody. You're a single mother who just lost a child. The court will question your mental state, your motivations, everything." "I understand," Emma said. "Do you?" Sarah pressed. "Because this will be invasive and painful, and there's no guarantee it works. Are you really ready for that?" Emma thought about Noah sleeping in her guest room. She thought about his question that morning. "Could you be my mom for a day?" She thought about Daniel and all the things he'd never get to do now. And she thought about the fact that she could spend the rest of her life drowning in grief. Or she could try to save one child who still had a chance at happiness. "Yes," Emma said. "I'm ready." The next morning, Emma called St. Michael's. She identified herself and explained that Noah was safe with her and would not be returning until proper arrangements were made. The director, a man named Robert Simmons, was furious. "You have no legal right to keep that child," he said. "I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," Emma replied. "And while you're at it, explain to them about the isolation room where you locked 9-year-olds in darkness for over 24 hours. The line went silent. "I don't know what the boy told you," Simmons said finally, "but he's known for telling stories." "Is he?" Emma said. "Then I'm sure a state investigation won't find anything concerning." "Are you threatening me?" Simmons asked. "I'm protecting a child," Emma replied. "There's a difference." She hung up. Noah had been listening from the hallway. When Emma turned around, he was standing there in Daniel's pajamas with tears on his face. "You're not taking me back?" he asked. "Not until I know you'll be safe," Emma said. "But what if they make you?" Noah asked. "What if the police come?" "Then we'll deal with it," Emma said. "Together." The next 48 hours were the longest of Emma's life. Sarah worked her connections, and what she discovered was worse than Emma had imagined. St. Michael's Group Home was under investigation by the state for multiple violations, inadequate staffing, misuse of funds, and yes, the isolation room that was technically illegal under Massachusetts child welfare law. But more than that, Sarah discovered something that made Emma's blood run cold. 3 children had disappeared from St. Michael's in the past 18 months. Not officially disappeared. They'd been transferred to other facilities or placed with families. But there was no paperwork, no follow-up, no verification that these children had actually gone where they were supposed to go. They'd simply vanished. "Emma," Sarah said during an emergency meeting, "this is bigger than one boy. This is a systemic failure. Can we use it?" Emma asked. "Yes," Sarah said, "but it's going to get ugly. Simmons will fight back. He'll try to discredit Noah's testimony. He'll accuse you of kidnapping. He'll make this as difficult as possible. Let him try, Emma said. Sarah smiled slightly. You know what, she said. Daniel would be proud of you. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I hope so, she whispered. The court hearing was scheduled for the following week. In the meantime, Noah stayed with Emma. They fell into a routine that felt both strange and natural. Breakfast together, homework at the kitchen table, dinner, stories before bed. Emma enrolled Noah temporarily in the elementary school near her apartment. His teacher, Ms. Rodriguez, called Emma after the first day. Mrs. Whitmore, she said, I need to ask you something about Noah. Emma's heart sank. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, Ms. Rodriguez said. I just want to understand his situation. He told the class today that his mom died in a fire and you're his new mom. Emma explained the situation as professionally as she could. I see, Ms. Rodriguez said when she finished. And how is he doing? Emotionally. He seems okay, Emma said, but I think he's just very good at hiding when he's not. That's what concerns me, Ms. Rodriguez said. I've been teaching for 15 years, and I can tell when a child has been through trauma. Noah has. He's well behaved, almost too well behaved. He doesn't ask for help even when he clearly needs it. He eats his lunch like he's afraid someone will take it away. She paused. Mrs. Whitmore, whatever you're doing, please keep doing it. That boy needs someone in his corner. He has me, Emma said, for as long as the court allows. Then let's hope the court is smart, Ms. Rodriguez replied. The night before the hearing, Noah couldn't sleep. Emma found him sitting in the guest room at 2 a.m., staring out the window. What's wrong? She asked, sitting next to him on the bed. What if it doesn't work? Noah whispered. What if the judge says I have to go back? Then we'll appeal, Emma said, and we'll keep fighting. But what if we lose? Noah pressed. What if I have to go back? And they're even worse because I told people about the isolation room. Emma took his hand. Noah, look at me. He turned to face her. I promise you, Emma said slowly, that I will do everything in my power to make sure you're safe. Even if the court says no tomorrow, I won't stop fighting. Do you understand? Noah nodded, tears slipping down his face. Can I tell you something? He asked. Anything, Emma said. When I asked you to be my mom for a day, Noah said, I didn't really think you'd say yes. I'd been asking people for weeks. On the bus. At the park. Nobody ever said yes. Emma's heart broke. I almost didn't ask you, Noah continued. You look so sad. But then I thought maybe if you were sad too, you'd understand. Understand what? Emma asked gently. What it's like to need someone, Noah said. Really need them. Not just want them around, but actually need them to keep going. Emma pulled him into a hug. I do understand, she whispered. And Noah, you didn't just need me. I needed you too. The courtroom was smaller than Emma had expected. Judge Patricia Morrison presided, a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Robert Simmons from St. Michael's arrived with his own lawyer, a polished man who immediately began arguing that Emma Whitmore had no legal standing to seek custody and that she'd essentially kidnapped Noah Chen. Sarah Chen countered with documentation of every violation at St. Michael's, including photographs of the isolation room and testimony from former staff members who'd quit in protest. But it was Noah's testimony that changed everything. Judge Morrison had requested to speak with Noah privately in her chambers. Emma wasn't allowed in the room, but Sarah was present as his advocate. Afterward, Sarah told Emma what had happened. Noah had walked into the judge's office, sat in the chair, and answered every question with heartbreaking honesty. Yes, he'd asked Mrs. Whitmore to be his mother for a day. Yes, he'd run away from St. Michael's on his birthday. Yes, there was an isolation room. Yes, he'd been put there before. And then the judge had asked him one final question. Noah, if you could choose anywhere in the world to live, where would it be? And Noah had said, without hesitation, with Mrs. Whitmore, because she remembers my birthday, and she makes me breakfast. And when I have nightmares, she stays with me until I fall back asleep. And she talks to me about her son Daniel, like he was the most important person in the world. And I think maybe if I lived with her, I could be important too. Sarah had cried telling Emma this. Judge Morrison had been silent for a long time. Then she told Noah to wait outside and called Emma in. "Mrs. Whitmore," the judge said, "I've reviewed your file. I know your son passed away recently. I'm very sorry for your loss." "Thank you, Your Honor," Emma said. "I'm going to be direct with you," the judge continued. "The state would prefer to place Noah in a more traditional family situation. 2 parents, stable income, no recent trauma." Emma's heart sank. "However," the judge continued, "I've also reviewed the conditions at St. Michael's, and I've spoken with Noah." She leaned forward. "Mrs. Whitmore, that child is clearly bonded to you. In less than 2 weeks, you've provided him with more stability and care than he's received in 2 years. But I need to know something." "Anything," Emma said. "Are you doing this because you truly want to be Noah's mother?" the judge asked. "Or are you doing this because you're trying to replace your son?" It was the question Emma had been asking herself late at night. Was she trying to replace Daniel? "No," Emma said finally. "I could never replace Daniel. No one could. But Your Honor, I spent 11 years as Daniel's mother, and I was good at it. I loved him completely, and I would have given anything to save him." She took a breath. "I can't save Daniel," Emma continued, "but I can save Noah. I can give him a home where he's valued and protected and loved. Not because he's Daniel, because he's Noah, and he deserves that." Judge Morrison studied her for a long moment. "I'm granting you temporary emergency custody," she said finally, "for 6 months. During that time, social services will monitor your home. Noah will continue therapy, and we'll reconvene to determine if permanent adoption is appropriate." Emma felt tears of relief streaming down her face. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much." "Don't thank me yet," the judge said. "This is just the beginning. The real work starts now." Emma understood. Raising a traumatized child who'd lost everything wouldn't be easy. There would be hard days, setbacks, moments where Noah's grief and fear would overwhelm them both. But they would face it together. When Emma came out of the judge's chambers, Noah was sitting in the hallway with Sarah. He looked up at her with terrified hope. "We're going home," Emma said. Noah burst into tears and ran into her arms. 6 months later, the adoption was finalized. Emma Whitmore legally became Noah Marcus Chen Whitmore's mother. The ceremony was small. Just Emma, Noah, Sarah, Ms. Rodriguez, and a few close friends. But afterward, Emma did something she'd been planning. She took Noah to Daniel's grave. It was the first time Noah had been to the cemetery, though Emma had been going twice a week since Daniel's death. They stood together in front of the simple headstone. "Daniel James Whitmore, beloved son, brave beyond measure." "Daniel," Emma said softly, "this is Noah. I told you about him in my last letter." She wrote to Daniel sometimes, leaving notes at his grave. "Noah," Emma continued, "this is my son Daniel. He would have liked you." Noah stared at the headstone for a long time. Then he reached into his backpack and pulled something out. It was the action figure Emma had bought him on his birthday, the one he'd chosen so carefully from the toy store. "Mrs. Whitmore," Noah said, "can I leave this here?" "For Daniel." Emma's throat tightened. "Are you sure?" she asked. "It's your birthday present." "I know," Noah said, "but I think Daniel should have it, because he's the reason you said yes when I asked you to be my mom." "What do you mean?" Emma asked. Noah looked up at her with those wise, old eyes. "You said yes because you understand what it's like to love someone so much it hurts," Noah said. "You learned that from Daniel. So really, he's the one who saved me." Emma knelt down and pulled Noah into a hug. Behind them, the autumn wind rustled through the cemetery trees. And for just a moment, Emma swore she could feel Daniel's presence, warm and proud and at peace. She'd spent 6 months terrified that she was dishonoring his memory by loving another child. But now she understood. Daniel's legacy wasn't grief. It was love. The capacity to love someone completely, even when you knew it might hurt. And Emma would carry that legacy forward with Noah. 1 year after Noah's adoption, Emma did something she'd been considering for months. She used part of her inheritance from her parents to establish the Daniel Whitmore Foundation for foster children. The foundation's mission was simple: to improve conditions in group homes across Massachusetts and to help connect orphan children with families who would love them. Sarah Chen served on the board. Ms. Rodriguez volunteered. Even Judge Morrison agreed to be an advisor. But the foundation's first major action was filing a lawsuit against St. Michael's Group Home. The investigation Sarah had started a year earlier had uncovered everything: financial mismanagement, abuse, negligence, and most damning of all, evidence that at least 2 of the missing children had been trafficked through connections Robert Simmons had made. Simmons was arrested. St. Michael's was shut down, and every child who'd been living there was transferred to safer facilities or placed with carefully vetted families. Noah testified again during the criminal trial. He was 10 now, stronger and more confident, but still carrying the weight of what he'd survived. "I was lucky," he told the prosecutor. "I got out, but there were so many other kids who didn't." When asked what he thought should happen to Simmons, Noah said something that made national news. "I think he should have to spend time alone in a room with no windows," Noah said. "Just like he made us do. I think he should know what it feels like to be powerless and scared and forgotten. Then maybe he'd understand why what he did was so wrong." Simmons was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Emma and Noah left the courthouse holding hands. "Is it over now?" Noah asked. "This part is," Emma said, "but the work continues." She was right. Over the next few years, the Daniel Whitmore Foundation became one of the most effective child welfare organizations in New England. They reformed policies, trained staff, audited facilities, and most importantly, they listened to the children themselves about what they needed. Noah became the foundation's youth ambassador when he was 12. He spoke at conferences. He met with legislators. He shared his story over and over, not for attention, but because every time he spoke, another child somewhere might be saved. And Emma was always there beside him, not as the wealthy widow who'd founded the organization, just as his mom. When Noah turned 13, he asked Emma something he'd been wondering about for years. "Do you think Daniel would be okay with how things turned out?" They were having breakfast, the same routine they'd had for 3 years now. Emma set down her coffee and thought carefully. "I think," she said slowly, "that Daniel would be proud of both of us." "Really?" Noah asked. "Really," Emma confirmed. "Daniel spent his whole life fighting. And even though he lost that battle, he taught me something important." "What?" Noah asked. "That fighting for something matters," Emma said. "Even if you don't win, even if it's hard." Daniel fought for every single day he had. And now we're fighting for kids who need someone in their corner. She smiled. "So yes, I think he'd be proud." Noah processed this quietly. "I wish I could have met him," he said. "Me too," Emma said. "You two would have been great brothers." "Do you think he knows?" Noah asked. "About me? About us?" Emma reached across the table and took Noah's hand. "I don't know," she said honestly, "but I hope so. I hope Daniel knows that his life mattered so much that it changed our lives even after he was gone." Noah squeezed her hand. "I'm glad you said yes," he whispered. "That day when I asked you to be my mom." "Me too, sweetheart," Emma said. "Me too." 5 years after that first morning, when Noah had asked an impossible question, Emma stood in the audience at his high school graduation. Noah was 18 now, tall and confident, with scholarship offers from 3 universities. He'd chosen social work as his major. "Because someone has to keep fighting," he told Emma when he made his decision. During the ceremony, Noah was called to the stage to give a speech as class president. He stood at the podium, looking out at hundreds of people, and began to speak. 5 years ago, Noah said, "I asked a stranger if she would be my mom for a day." The audience went quiet. "I was 9 years old, alone on my birthday, and desperate to feel like I mattered to someone." He looked directly at Emma in the audience. That stranger said yes, and that one day became forever. Emma felt tears streaming down her face. "Mrs. Emma Whitmore didn't just give me a home," Noah continued. "She gave me something more important. She gave me the understanding that family isn't about who you're born to. It's about who chooses to stay. He paused. My mom lost her son Daniel before she found me, and I lost my parents before I found her. We were both broken, both grieving, both trying to figure out how to keep living. But together, we found a reason. We built a foundation in Daniel's name that has helped over 200 kids find safe homes. We changed laws. We shut down places that hurt children. We fought. His voice grew stronger. And to everyone graduating today, I want to say this. You don't have to accept the hand you're dealt. You can fight for something better. Not just for yourself, but for people who come after you. My brother Daniel fought even when he knew he couldn't win. My mom fought to save me when everyone said it was impossible. And I will keep fighting for every kid who feels alone and forgotten. The audience erupted in applause. After the ceremony, Noah ran to Emma and hugged her tightly. I meant everything I said, he whispered. I know, Emma replied, and I'm so proud of you. That night, they went to Daniel's grave together. It had become their tradition on important days. Noah placed his graduation cap on the headstone. Hey Daniel, he said, I graduated. Full scholarship to Boston University. Social work program. He smiled. I'm going to keep the foundation going. Keep helping kids. I think you'd want me to do that. Emma added flowers to the grave, as she did every week. He's going to do amazing things, she told Daniel quietly. Just like you would have. The wind picked up, rustling leaves across the cemetery grass. And Emma felt, as she always did in this place, that Daniel was listening. That somehow, impossibly, her two sons knew each other. One who'd taught her the depth of a mother's love, and one who'd reminded her that love didn't die with loss. It transformed. It grew. It saved others. 10 years after Noah had asked that impossible question, Emma stood at the grand opening of the Daniel Whitmore Center for Youth Services. It was a beautiful building in downtown Boston, designed specifically to serve older foster children transitioning to independence. It had apartments, job training programs, mental health services, and educational support. Everything Noah and Emma had wished existed when he was navigating the system. Noah, now 23 and finishing his master's degree in social work, cut the ribbon alongside Emma. Reporters asked him what this moment meant. It means that kids aging out of foster care won't have to do it alone anymore, Noah said. They'll have support, resources, people who believe in them. And it honors the boy who made all of this possible, my brother Daniel. One reporter asked Emma a question that made her pause. Mrs. Whitmore, if you could go back to that morning 10 years ago, knowing everything you know now, would you still say yes when Noah asked you to be his mother? Emma looked at Noah, standing beside her in his suit, confident and kind and whole. She thought about the years of court battles and therapy appointments and sleepless nights. She thought about the foundation they'd built and the children they'd helped. She thought about the family they'd become. Yes, Emma said simply. 8,000 times yes. Because that morning, I thought my life was over. I thought I had nothing left to give. But Noah showed me that even in our darkest moments, we still have the capacity to love, to heal, to grow. She smiled. He asked me to be his mom for a day, and instead, he gave me a reason to keep living, forever. That night, Emma and Noah had dinner at the same diner where they'd shared their first meal a decade ago. The waitress recognized them immediately. Look at you two, she said. All grown up. Noah laughed. Not quite. Mom's still making sure I eat vegetables. Someone has to, Emma said. After dinner, they walked through the city, past the bench where Noah had first approached Emma. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't asked you? Noah said. Or if you'd said no? Every day, Emma admitted. And it terrifies me. Me too, Noah said. They walked in comfortable silence for a while. Mom, Noah said finally. Thank you. For what? Emma asked. For saying yes, Noah replied. For fighting for me. For loving me even when I was difficult. For teaching me that I mattered. Emma stopped walking and pulled him into a hug. Noah, you have never been difficult, she said. You've been exactly what I needed. Always. When they pulled apart, Both of them had tears in their eyes. "Daniel would be so proud of you," Emma said. "I hope so," Noah replied. "Because everything good in my life exists because of what you and Daniel taught me about love." They continued walking, a mother and son who'd found each other in grief and built something beautiful from the ruins. Behind them, the city lights glowed. Ahead of them, the future stretched out with endless possibility. And somewhere Emma believed Daniel was smiling, because his life hadn't ended in that hospital room 10 years ago. It had transformed into Noah's second chance, into Emma's reason to keep going, into a foundation that would save hundreds more children. Daniel's love had multiplied, and that was the greatest legacy any person could leave behind.